This is 5 Minute Feng Shui Podcast, episode 185, The Sex and Money Connection. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui Podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Hey, today's episode is about an adult subject about sex and making love. And if there are some small ears around or you're sensitive to those around you who might be listening, this might be better to listen on your headset or where you can listen privately. Well, hello, my Feng Shui friend. We have got a hot topic today. We are talking about the sex and money connection in Feng Shui. Now, I know what you're thinking. You want one or the other, and if you're a good, healthy, red-blooded person, you're going to want both, because both of them are important. They're both an element of creation. Sex and money are both something that we make. We make love and we make money, and in Feng Shui, those two are tied together. Who would have thought? This is something that many people would think fall in sort of the relationship category, but it isn't. It's not that. It is really about Southwest Corner, and that's about marriage and commitment. But what we're talking about is wealth, and that means assets. That means money coming in. That means that extra bit of gravy you've got to take vacations, drive a nicer car, enjoy some of the finer things in life, and the things that make it enjoyable, not just endurable, right? This is where we want to be when it comes to money. We want to have a savings account. The other thing that we want in our lives is that human touch, right? That is just such a human part of being alive and having a well-rounded and connected relationship. Now, you might not think that this is going to be a connected item, but it is. And I thought it was really interesting how Napoleon Hill wrote in his seminal book, Think and Grow Rich, that one of the most important aspects in the process of gaining wealth was actually tied to sex, because he says the emotion of sex contains that secret of creative ability. And it's that seat of power and ability to create that's also uniquely tied to Feng Shui too. Now, when we think about sex and we think about money, we are looking at one of the most potent parts of qi. It's interesting how they are tied to one another. Many times, I know girlfriends of mine, they were always on the hunt for a guy with a good job and drives a nice Mercedes. And this was something that is a sexual attractant. So when you think of it like that, it does kind of make sense, because I know when you're thinking about money and you're thinking about sex, you're probably wondering, how does that work together? But it does. And they are lumped together in Feng Shui. I will tell you, whoever put these elements together knew what the heck they were doing, because it is something that we see in life where we have this magnetism. And when we are making money, we feel better about ourselves. And when we are having lots of great romantic love, sex, we feel good too. It's both a release in both ways and a security. It's a very affirming thing when you have money. It's affirming when you have sex. It is something that says, I am worthy, both in the physical way and also in the financial way. So let's talk about that really quickly, because it is something that is encapsulated by the number 4. And 4 is the number associated with both romance and sex, also academic achievement, sales, and writing. You see how it's tied into creative process? So you can also say that the four is a number that's associated with creation and generation. So obviously, the number two is important because it takes two people to make that possible. But it's also true that people in committed relationships usually are more financially secure. And so the more you are in a committed relationship, usually wealth can grow. That's because you're not out spending money and you are able to use your combined and compounded earning power and financial capability, and it becomes compounded by that number two. Double goodness, right? It's double goodness. And in fact, it's also been proven that couples who stay together longer, who stay married, and in fact, if you can stay married longer, you have more stable financial lives, you have a more full life in general, and that divorce often is partnered up with financial difficulty. So more divorces, more financial difficulty many times. Not always, though. Not always. There's always an exception to every rule. But in general, though, if you can stay married and stay in a committed relationship, one, you're going to feel more stable and committed in your life. You're also going to feel more stable and committed in your finances. Now, there are two parts to love, right? So we've got that number two, obviously two people, but also there are two parts to money. In feng shui, we look at the two aspects of money. At least I do. I don't look at money as it's a single item. I look at it from a couple of different ways. There's the money that comes in, that's a paycheck or salary, and there's accumulated money, that's your assets, that's investments, those are savings and retirement accounts. Now in love, there's commitment, and then there's the romantic aspect, and that's the Southwest. That's the relationship, the marriage, the committed partnership. Then there is the sexual aspect, and that's the Southeast. So those two kind of come together when we think of love and the partnership of romance and commitment with sex as well as money. We think of it in two ways. We think of it as generating, and we also think of it as accumulating money. So very important to look at it from both those ways, because a marriage without sex is a marriage that it's missing something, isn't it? And a marriage that's always struggling financially is also something that is missing something too, because there's a relaxation that comes from having assets and from having security around money. That security and those assets create a relaxation. And I will tell you one thing when it comes to couples, when you have relaxation, when there's empty space in your life where you're not worried about something, it creates the opportunity for sex, for romance, and that's a beautiful thing. Now, of course, when it comes to sex, we also find that as you age, sexual activity often lessens, but it's not always because of the lack of interest, although that does sometimes happen, but it can be from fatigue, from work, stress, child rearing, or household duties that get in the way. Just you're tired, it's late, I have a headache, you never know. Everyday demands, a lot of times, of living just can sap our enthusiasm for our romantic life. And if there's one thing that feng shui teaches, it teaches that energy flows where energy goes. And a German study confirmed this, in fact. There was a study of 32,000 couples, and many of them who stopped having sex reported that the trend of little or no sex just became worse. In other words, less sex leads to even less or no sex. And when you have couples that have little or no sex, then we are also often seeing some other difficulties. And a lot of times it's money. That's definitely where we know that the two things that are most commonly argued about in relationships are sex and money. And it's interesting how this common argument is tied to one another. And this is how money and sex are tied to us as couples. And when it comes to sex, it's good. We need it. Making love makes us feel happy and content. It relieves that physical tension in all parts of your body, not just the where parts. And it's also that important part of a committed relationship. It's that very intimate part of a committed relationship. When you think about making love with your partner and you think about how it feels to have a wad of cash, both of them make you smile. I mean, have you ever noticed? I notice I have. But, is all sex good? No, it's not. That committed, loving type is what we're after. And this is what brings greater concentrated wealth. And this is where you have greater opportunity for sex and fulfillment through that intimate connection and fulfillment through a financial security. Now, this is the basis for good feng shui and good love, and it's where the money-making potential resides, that committed loving. Promiscuity is something that doesn't make you feel better and can actually make you feel worse. But what if you lack a partner? Well, rather than going trolling in a trench coat to bars and taking the walk of shame in the morning that only makes you feel more terrible and it takes your money-making energy with it, you want to make a romantic date with yourself. Now, I don't mean like that. Instead, treat yourself to something romantic like luxurious lingerie, nice sheets, a scented candle, read a romance novel, or watch a romantic movie with some wine. Just treat yourself nice. You can live a romantic life, even if you're single. And you should live a romantic life, whether you're single or you're in a relationship. You're going to love your relationship more when you make that your environment romantic and make a romantic bedroom and make a romantic life. And you're also going to love yourself for it if you do this for yourself, even when you're single. It's really important. In short, be a romantic person, no matter whether you're in a single relationship or no relationship, or if you are in a committed one. Now let's talk about love and money. Now, love and money are often tied together. And in fact, we talked earlier that studies have shown that sex and money are the two things that couples fight most about. And we know for sure that when money's tight, romance often suffers. But when we feel successful financially, we can feel sexy and desirable. Now, making money and making love always feels better when there's an abundance of both. Now, couples with money troubles may often find that their mood can become tense and argumentative, and that nothing can prevent closeness and love like two tense partners. When everybody's all wound up and uptight, that's not going to make for a romantic weekend or an evening. Stress is just a romance killer, and stress from money is also a romance killer. But when money's good, by contrast, you feel creative, you feel in the flow. And this can stoke your love fires and keep them burning together. So when you have a good income and orderly finances, this can help keep your relationship close and those intimate bonds unbreakable. So often, I find that relationships don't want to talk about money. They don't want to talk about sex. I know that's one of the things that Tim and I did when we first got married. Of course, we lived on a desert island. It's kind of built in that we were going to talk more. That's because there was really nothing to do. There was a nice sunset every evening, and we'd sit on a seawall on this island, and we talked about everything. We talked about kids. We talked about money. We talked about life and what we wanted and what would work for each of us. I know I spoke a lot about how I felt about marriage and what I wanted out of it and what kind of expectations I have for having a family. And I just laid everything out. I talked to him about, I had a student loan at the time, and it was very small. I laid out my financial cards, and he did as well. And I think going into it, knowing all that was very helpful, because I know that I have had friends who both he and she had surprises when they got married. And that's not the way you want to go into it, because it just closes down those walls. So let's talk about, if you have a partner or just your love life needs a jump start, let's talk about ways that you can create that or start that creative flow in your bedroom and in your wallet. Okay, the first up is to schedule sex each week. That's right, put it on the calendar. Rather than lacking spontaneity, scheduling intimate time together means that your love is important. Honoring your creative and generating abilities in your partnership is by making time for sex and romance. That is how you put that stamp of you're important and this means something to us. And I'm going to take care of this part of our relationship. The other thing is have fun. Try a game, go parking in the garage, do a strip tease. Don't do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, though, but don't hide under the covers either. Fun in romance is also good feng shui. It's a really healthy way to experience your relationship and good for feng shui. And if we can make money and sex a little bit more lighthearted, I think that's all the better. We have to take it not so seriously, right? If we're always really worrying about money or a bill or something like that, it's gonna crush that creative part and that fun part of our life. Let's talk about sensuality. Being sensual and romantic is so helpful for a relationship rather than that whole cheap, nasty wham bam thing. Get some great feeling new sheets for your bed, buy a soft, nubby throw, and maybe one of those awesome fur throws, and get your skin used to feeling wonderful textures. Get a body polish. This is one of my favorite things to do. You can get it at your local spa, or I like to buy those body scrubs at the body shop, and it just makes my skin feel good. And get a massage afterward. Your skin will feel like silk to both you and your honey. Now, another important thing is, well, hormones, right? I mean, as I will firmly attest, things change as the years go by. And let's face it, the angry, witchy woman is nobody's friend, and it can scare off even the most desperate lover. So if you'd rather clean your toenails than have sex, something is wrong. So get to your gynecologist, get some hormones, get some help. You don't have to retire to a convent because your libido is low. There are ways to help kind of rev up your engine, and I hope that you'll think about doing that. There's natural alternatives. There's all kinds of ways. So don't let that part of your life go completely away. Unless everybody's happy about that. If you're in a good financial position and you're happy about that, and your partner is perfectly fine with no no love interest, well then that's great. But if not, check it out. There are ways to get that part of your life going again. Now, when it comes to the guys, let's face it, most time the guys are ready no matter what, but women aren't. So if you're a guy, this is important that, not to go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in an instant. Slow down, take your time, and let things unfold naturally. That's a whole lot better than being a little too fast. And then the other thing is, make a date for no sex. Now, I know that sounds really odd, but if you can spend time with one another and just say, no, we're not going to have sex, we're just going to be here together, I guarantee you, if you say, absolutely not, we cannot do it, nothing works like a charm. It gets everybody fired up faster than if you say, no, we can't do it. No, we're not going to. We can just spend time together. It's amazing how that works. You know why? Because we always want what we can't have, right? If we're told, no, you can't have it, well, it makes it all the more alluring, does it not? So let's talk about revitalizing your love life with feng shui to revitalize your financial life. Let's talk about what you can do in your bedroom and in your life to rev up your love engine. First of all, make sure that when it comes to the partnership bedroom, that you remove pictures of everyone except the couple in the room, especially the kids. I can tell you that I had a client, or actually someone I knew, who had a wall full of their kids' pictures that were absolutely took up the entire wall opposite the couple's bed. Well, they're divorced. Surprise! I know, shocking, right? Who would have thought? But yeah, you don't want a kid staring at you. You don't want your parents staring at you in your bedroom. That is space for you and your honey alone, nobody else. So make sure that you make it a romantic cocoon. All the pictures of everybody else, religious figures, and all that kind of stuff, and family members that can all go everywhere else in the house. But just keep the two of you in your bedroom. Also remove all those work objects, the computers, the phones, the piles of paper, anything that relates to working. If you have a desk in there, try to find it a new home and take all that work stuff out. You want to have a bedroom that is just for R&R, rest and romance. The other thing, this is a simple one, and Martha Stewart would approve. Make your bed. every day. There is nothing as unsexy as an unmade bed. It just feels yuck. And when you go into a bedroom and you rip the sheets back, that's very sexy. But when the sheets are all rumpled and they're all kind of, balled up in a wad at the end of the bed, you just don't feel like flopping on the bed and having wild, passionate love. No, it kills the moment. So make that bed every day. Also, make sure your bed's up to the task. You don't want to have a bed that squeaks or creaks or feels like it's going to break with just the littlest bit of activity. Have a good, solid bed. The other thing we want to do is get away from all the religious objects because they can make you feel guilty, and you're going to see all those religious things and it's going to just, it really puts the old wet, hairy blanket on top of your romantic life, and nobody needs that. The other thing that we want to do is get rid of any kind of plants or flowers because these will drain your romance. Typically in a bedroom, you never want to have any kind of plant or plant motifs or any flowers or plants on your sheets or your comforter or whatever kind of bed linens that you have. The plants are thought to drain energy from people because people are considered more of an earth element. And how do plants grow? They put their roots into the earth and draw energy out. And romance is an earth element. So when we think of committed love, we don't want to have that kind of element in there, that wood element that's going to pull it all out. Now, if you have wood furniture, don't worry about that. But I'm just talking about big pictures of plants or those motifs. The other thing is sleep in the correct position. Make sure that when you're in bed, if you're a woman, that you sleep on the right and the man is on the left. This is as you're in bed. If you're in a relationship that you have two female partners or two male partners, you're always going to have one person that's going to have a little bit more yang energy and one that's going to have a little bit more yin. There's always someone that's maybe a little bit more hard driving and someone that's a little softer. So put that person, if you are the yin person, be the person that sleep on the right side of the bed as you are lying in bed, and have the more yang person on the left. Now, the other thing we want to do is have bedroom parity. So that would be like two bedside tables with matching lamps, matching bedside tables. You want to have a bedroom that looks balanced, and you see two. You can see that they are on equal footing. Now, you'll often see this in hotel rooms. So if you've gone to a fancy schmancy hotel, you'll see it, and it looks beautiful and it looks balanced and relaxing to the eye to see that. So make sure that there's bedroom parity. All right, well, there we go. We have talked about love and romance. We've talked about income, such as generating income and accumulated money, those two different types of money. We've also talked about the two different types of love. There's committed love, that's like marriage and committed partnerships. And then there's just, knocking boots, sex, right? So we talked about there's two different things, so we're talking about two different types of elements. And this is what we're wanting to enhance the sexual aspect of your relationship in order to enhance the wealth of your relationship. That's both accumulated assets as well as generating assets, because that generation of love does make and helps you feel richer in all ways in life. Okay, so it is time to leave you with 3 tips. Tip number 1, get busy. That's right, plan your money. That's right, think about money. Talk to your partner about money. Get investments going. Get money savvy. It's so important that you understand that money is sexy. Making money is sexy. I will tell you, there is nothing that makes Tim and me hotter than looking at our retirement account and seeing those numbers go up, up, up. It gets us excited. So, you might not think that looking at retirement accounts is a thrill, but it is, especially when they're growing and you're doing investments together, because we've always been a very united couple in that way. Get united. Don't just leave the money to your partner. Make sure both of you are involved, and make money sexy, because it is. I think it is. Making money is a lot of fun. Also, tip number 2, devote time for love. Yeah, that's right. Schedule sex. Make romance a part of your life. Think romantically. What can you do? Put dimmers on around your house. I think it's really elegant too, and looks very rich and posh when you walk into a house and has this beautiful dim light, and it just looks to me opulent when I see a romantic looking house. But it's also romantic and wealthy looking, so it looks both posh and romantic. So I think, look at your surroundings and ways that you can make a romantic life, and schedule a date. Schedule a date for sex. Maybe it's just, hey, there's no sex, but we're going to have romance time. Well, let me tell you, put that no sex talk on the table. It will happen. I guarantee you. It's weird how that works. And tip number 3, make your bedroom opulent. You want the bedroom to look like something is going on there, like money's being made and love is being made. This is where it all happens. This is the symbol of your union. It's the symbol of your relationship, your bedroom. It's also a power symbol for money as well. I want you to be thinking about that. So when you're decorating, you want your bedroom to look like, that looks good, both in that looks like money and that looks like sex. And if you think that it doesn't have that, trust me, it does. If your bedroom doesn't say, gorgeous, romantic, and hey, I want to jump onto that bed, then it's not going to say money either. And having a bedroom that turns you on, both from a visual aspect, will also turn you on romantically and financially. So put the emphasis on your bedroom. This is a great way to put the emphasis on money in a really nice and fun way too. Well, there you go, the sex and money feng shui connection. I hope this has been enlightening for you. I hope you've enjoyed this particular episode. This has been a lot of fun for me. And one of those topics that, like I said, I think it's easy to not see that connection and to think of all romance or relationships just as that sort of commitment in the paper. Well, you know what? I think it needs the fire. It needs passion too. And when it comes to making money, it's exciting when you're making money. Money's coming in. It feels good. And when you're watching your assets grow, that's a beautiful thing. And it's a big turn on. So if you hadn't thought of them together that way, well, I hope I have brought you and your mind to that thinking today. Have a great week. I'll talk to you on the next episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui. If you did, please be sure to share this episode with your friends on social media, and let's change the world one home at a time. For more Feng Shui information and inspiration, sign up for my free weekly Feng Shui Easy. Just drop by redlotusletter.com to sign up, and I'll be in your inbox every Wednesday. And if you like this episode, I'd love it if you left a review on iTunes. If you do, send me the screenshot of your review to katie@redlotusletter.com with iTunes review in the subject line, and I'll send you a free gift as my thank you. I'll see you next week on the next episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui.